state tax increases, especially out in California. All right, well, I think, why don't we throw another polling question out there, Scott? Why don't you put the third question out?
Okay, all right, let me go ahead and do that. Third one, what would be the best one at this point? Do you have clients with a captive insurance company?
Yeah, let's just see what folks have done with captives in the past. Let's see if this ties in with their experience.
Sure. Simple yes or no, so this one will be closed very quickly, so please make sure to get your response in here. 10 seconds, we have 82 people that, or 82% that responded, hundreds of people.
Wow.
And 73% said no, 74% no, and 26% yes. So I don't know if that's, is that unusual for your audiences to have that higher percentage of yeses, or is that typical?
Well, considering half the audience said they had no experience in captives and half said they have a fair amount, that means that almost half of those folks that have some knowledge or know what a captive is, it looks like over half of them have clients with captives. So that's a very high percentage, I think. But I think that's also highlights the industry of where it's going. A few years ago, I think most CPAs, attorneys, the knowledge generally in the industry was unknown, especially for this micro captive. And I've personally seen a doubling of business for myself and other clients in this industry each the last 4 years. So that's very interesting. Well, why don't we switch gears here? Really, the first half of this presentation, we focused on all the benefits that a client can get. I apologize for maybe being a little taxy at the end of the day, but again, I do stress that risk management is the reason, first and foremost, that customers need to do this. Now, talking about the tax side of things, some of the obstacles of why people don't do captives, let's focus in on that. At the end of the day, many customers don't want to do these, probably because, A, they don't have cash flow, which is something we can't control. There is some IRS scrutiny that does frighten some customers away, and there's some risk sharing. Those are probably the big three reasons why customers don't do these captives. So let's dive into one of those. Let's focus on the IRS scrutiny and where things stand right now in the industry. Well, at the end of the day, in order to be an insurance company for tax purposes, we have to follow these three bullets here. Most of the business, the revenue in the business, in the captive, has to come from insurance activities. We also need to make sure that we price the risk appropriately that goes into the captive, and we spread the risk out. Now, Howard and I, we've been through roughly about 30 audits by the IRS on our clients since the late 90s. And one thing I like to point out here is that just because you are audited by the IRS doesn't mean the captive is the reason that the captive was audited. In fact, for us, none of the clients were audited specifically because they had a captive, and all of them have come out without any material change. Now, I can't say that's true of the industry. There are a couple managers that have gotten tied into some messes in the past. There was a lady up in New York City who had a big terrorism risk-sharing pool that was overly inflated in the amount of premiums being charged to, and the IRS is doing an IDR right now on the pooling facility and everything that's going on. And I do believe there's going to be some problems for some managers out there in the industry right now. So the IRS is really trying to clean up the industry, trying to understand these risk-sharing pools, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Now, let's talk about, again, going back to what does it